Hi guys, it's Karen again. I'm gonna make zucchini fritters because I have a lot of zucchini and I love these zucchini fritters. So I'm gonna post a link to the website where I got the recipe from, and so you can follow along there. But I'm just gonna show you I'm just gonna show you how to make it. So this bowl ended up being 3 pounds of shredded zucchini. I am doubling this recipe. That's the first thing I'll tell you, is double the recipe, because you could, after you're done making them, you could, if you only like your family of 1 or 2, you could freeze them individually and have them, just heat them up later on. But you kind of have to go through a little bit of why go through the trouble twice? That's what I'm trying to say. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking a cheesecloth, and I'll back up actually. First thing I did was shred all the zucchini, and then the first thing that you do is add, if you're doing one batch, it's 1.5 pounds of zucchini, and so you add 1 teaspoon of salt to the zucchini and mix it around. And what that does is it draws the water out of the zucchini. Sorry, dog. Oh, dog problems. Anyway, then it doesn't say to rinse it off, so I don't rinse it off when I make these. And then I also don't add any more salt because it ends up being plenty. So since I did 3 pounds, I'm doubling it, so I did 2 teaspoons of salt. It's plenty of salt. So now I'm taking a cheesecloth and I'm just plopping a bunch on here. And you're just gonna get messy. It's just the way it goes. I got another bowl and edited that out because that was extraordinarily loud, and I forgot to get a second bowl. So I just put this big blob of zucchini in here in a cheesecloth, and I'm gonna take it over here and just bring it out. And just get as much out as you can. Normally I have a stool that I stand on because I'm not very tall, so I can like use more of my body weight to get it out, but I mean to squish on it, but this is fine. And then you just dump it in there. Don't worry about making a mess. You're going to. Put another blob in there. And I can see all the water that went down to the bottom of the bowl, so that's cool. A lot of it has already been drawn away because of the salt. So take your cheesecloth and wring it out. And dump it in there. That's a lot of moisture that I don't want in my fritters. Who wants water in their fritters? That's just crazy talk. Where's the opening? Help! My zucchini is trapped. There we go. And I kind of squeeze that water out before I take this out. The stuff down at the bottom is really watery because that's where all the water sits, obviously. So I'm going to rinse that out in a minute. My last little bit. I didn't say this. So when you put the salt into your shredded zucchini, your plain shredded zucchini, you put the salt in, and then you let it sit for 10 minutes. So the first thing that I do when I've done these, every time I do this, is before I do anything else, I get the zucchini shredded and get the salt in it and let it be sitting in the sink to sit there for 10 minutes while I get all the other stuff ready, all the other ingredients. So now I'm going to dump my newly wrung out zucchini into this big bowl. So just remember, I'm doubling this. So when I say these amounts, when you go look at the recipe, it's going to be half of that, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So I have 3 pounds of shredded zucchini that I've removed the water from it. I have a half a cup of flour. I have a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. I have 2 eggs. Several cloves of garlic. It's little garlic, so I used a whole bunch of them. And then some pepper. I don't remember what it says, but just use whatever you like. I kind of like a lot of pepper, so. And then I don't like stirring big bowls of things like this. I just think it's like when you make meatloaf and stuff, it's like, how do you stir that? So I use my hands. It's way easier and goes way faster, and it's a lot more thorough, I think. And my hands are clean, of course. So I'm just going through and mixing it up with my hands. It's kind of fun, actually, in a weird, gross first grade way. But I did try, the first time I made these, I did try to stir it, and I was like, this is dumb. This is never going to happen. So I threw the spoon down and just did this. Okay. And then once you think all of your stuff is mixed up really well, you know, it kind of looks the same, just with stuff in it. Then we're going to take it over and actually make the fritters, okay? Okay, now I'm over here at the stove with the biggest skillet I have, and I recommend you use the biggest skillet that you have because that way you get these done a lot faster. You can put a lot in per batch. And the other thing I did is I added some olive oil, a couple of tablespoons, and I've gotten this pan very, very hot. And you want to make sure when you're frying anything in oil that you let the oil get real hot. Don't let it, there we go, don't let it start smoking, but just before that point. And the reason for that is anything that you're frying, if you put it into like not super hot oil, the food's just going to absorb all the oil rather than use it to fry the outside, you know, crispy goodness. Your food will just end up being really oily. So this oil is really hot. I'm going to go ahead and put like a giant, whatever that is, a couple tablespoons of the mixture in here. Make it kind of into a little ball and smash it down. They don't have to be like, don't try and make them circles, but do try and get them as flat as possible. Oops, sorry. Because they cook a lot faster that way. And you really don't want them, like, they don't need to take forever. So you can really make these as big or small as you want. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. See, like that's a great big one. I will be eating that. There you go. Once you get them all in here, let them sit like that on about medium heat until you can tell that they're starting to get brown underneath, and don't flip them until they are. And I'll let these cook a little bit and then we'll come back and see how they're doing. Once they start to brown on one side, you can flip them over. Perfect. Now my pan is warped, so I'm not going to turn these all over all at the same time. I'm positive of that. See, that wasn't even ready. But just go through, check them, and flip them over when it's time. And pretty soon you'll be eating these fritters. So I'll show you when they're all done. Okay, one was done and I couldn't wait any longer. The other thing I'll tell you is I highly, highly recommend sour cream on these guys, just a dollop. And also, just as a FYI, this time I did not add any extra salt other than what I put into the zucchini when I was trying to draw the water out that I didn't rinse off. So there was that salt, and then remember there's Parmesan cheese in this, so that's also real salty. So they're so good. I hope you guys make them. You will love them, and you're welcome. Just kidding. I'll talk to you later. Bye.